Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. Welcome to this course on writing well, 6 tips on bringing clarity to writing. In today's lecture, inshallah, we are going to cover the third part, in which we shall be talking about coherence, the need to have thematic unity, and the need to have all parts of your paper working together well. So inshallah, in this lecture, our focus would be on the virtue of coherence. Let me define what coherence means. So if we look up the dictionary, we'll find that it has the connotation of being logical and consistent. For example, this sentence, this raises further questions on the coherence of the state policy, which basically means that there are various aspects of this policy which are in conflict with each other. So the idea is that if something is coherent, it is consistent and it is logical. The other thing is, if you look it up, you'll find the other definition is the quality of forming a unified whole, in which again the idea is that you may have various parts of the overall system, but there is also this sense of the whole, and the whole is something that is connected and it encompasses all of the parts. As an example, look at this sentence. The group began to lose coherence and the artists took separate directions. From this, we get the notion that the group, when it works together, it is coherent. But when the artists take different directions, the group fails to work as a single unit. So when we talk of coherence in this sense, there is this concept of unity, of something being unified as one whole thing. So this overall, when we talk of having coherence, this basically underlines the importance of having thematic unity throughout your paper. Your paper should have a big picture and all the parts should fit together. So if you have a paper in which the big picture is clear and the various parts of your paper fit together, we say that your paper is coherent. It has two aspects. Usually coherence is used together with cohesion, and cohesion is something that also means flow. You would recall that our last lecture was about flow, and when we talked about flow, we mentioned the need to have sentences that link together, paragraphs that link together. So that is also something that we call cohesion. आपको अपने लफ्ज़ सुना होगा cohesive, जिसका मतलब होता है कि आपस में जुड़ा हुआ. तो cohesion के अंदर की आइडिया है कि things gel together, they flow together. तो इसमें क्या डिफरेंस है? coherence, हम सोच सकते हैं कि coherence का एक part है cohesion, but there is also something that is broader than that. So उसको हम इस तरह देख सकते हैं कि coherence means the connection of ideas at the idea or conceptual level. तो ये rhetorical issues हैं, इसमें आपके concepts की बात होती है, इसमें आपके ideas की बात है, और जिसको हम और ज़बानों में, अरबी में, उर्दू में इल्मुल बलागा कहते हैं. तो उसके अंदर वो issues भी आ जाते हैं कि things should be related to each other, logical होना चाहिए. तो जब हम conceptual level पे बात करेंगे तो coherence हो जाएगा. When we're talking at the level of grammar, then usually this is called cohesion or flow. तो जो हमने last time सारी discussions की थी, वो भी हमारी आज के lecture की discussion से related है. तो हम जब अपनी writing को improve कर रहे होते हैं, so we can look at two different levels. The first thing is obviously the grammar issues, और उसमें you need to know how to not make spelling mistakes. You need to know how to connect words together in a sentence correctly. So these are the mechanics of writing. This is very low level stuff that you usually learn in your earlier classes in school. And then beyond that, even if you can write sentences, you need to be able to communicate big thoughts, big concepts, and therein comes the idea of coherence. You should be able to connect the various pieces together and convey some non-trivial idea coherently. So in summary, we would say that coherence deals with developing and supporting your arguments, synthesizing and integrating concepts, organizing and clarifying ideas. As an example, if you have a paper in which in the first section you are saying something and in the last section you are saying something else, we would say still that your paper is not coherent because the various parts of your paper are not gelling together. So you need to synthesize and integrate the various parts of your paper. And it also deals with developing supporting evidence and arguments for the main points that you make. So if you have a thesis, if you have a hypothesis or an idea, you should have some supporting evidence. If you do that, then again, we would say that your main idea is coherent and you have a coherent evidence-based, you have some support for your main thesis. For building coherence, an important part related to what we just covered in the last slide is to have supporting evidence. We need to synthesize the various parts together. And for that, we need to use abstraction. This is a topic that we covered in our lecture 1, in which we were talking about communicating top down. So many of the ideas we covered then are also related to this concept of coherence. So here we mentioned that we should use the pyramid principle, in which we would have many different ideas, but then we synthesize them together. We see what is the big insight, and then we convey that. Everything should be related to that big idea. And if you do that, we would say that we have a coherent narrative in which every part is explaining the main thesis, the main idea, something that is at the very top of this hierarchy. We mentioned then apart from part 1, which focuses on synthesizing and structuring your arguments, part 2 is related to communicating the ideas, and that shall be done top down. And obviously, all these ideas that we covered in the top-down lecture are also related to the process of creating and developing a coherent narrative. And for this, we make use of abstraction, because if all of your ideas are to gel together, you need to somehow make them work together. You might need to make some modifications. And for that, you may need to abstract some details out which are not related to the overall narrative. And for this, we need to have coherence at multiple levels. So we saw this self-similar leaf earlier on as well. And we said that in this leaf, you have many parts which look like the original leaf. So similarly, when we say coherence at multiple levels, we mean we should have coherence at the level of sentences. So in a paragraph, you have multiple sentences, but all of them should be connected to the main sentence, and that is usually called the topic sentence. Similarly, the section or the subsection would have many paragraphs, but again, all of those paragraphs should be connected together to the main idea, which is usually connected and described in the section heading. And then all of the section headings should be related to the paper title, because the paper title captures everything there is in the paper. So we need to have this coherence at multiple levels, at the levels of sentences, paragraphs, subsections, and sections. And also, this thing usually does not come automatically. You need to work hard on bringing this coherence in your paper. For that, you may need to revise your paper multiple times. You may need to remove some part. For example, if you have a disjointed paper in which you have many things that are currently not connected, maybe you can improve it to some extent by developing some connectives between the various parts, but you may have some parts that are unrelated, and then you might need to remove something. So all of this is usually done in the phase of revising and rewriting the work. And this is something that is an integral part of writing. If you read the classical book, The Elements of Style, they have an advice there on a revise and rewrite, which I shall now read some part of it. They say that revising is part of writing. Few writers are so expert that they can produce what they are after on the first try. Quite often you will discover on examining the completed work that there are serious flaws in the arrangement of the material, calling for transpositions. When this is the case, a word processor can save you time and labor as you rearrange the manuscript. You can select material on your screen and move it to a more appropriate spot. Or if you cannot find the right spot, you can move the material to the end of the manuscript until you decide whether to delete it. Some writers find that working with the printed copy of the manuscript helps them to visualize the process of change. Others prefer to revise entirely on screen. Above all, do not be afraid to experiment with what you have written. तो इस पैसेज से हम एक चीज़ तो ये लर्न करते हैं कि इन द फर्स्ट गो ज़रूरी नहीं है कि जिस ऑर्डर में आपने चीज़ें लिखी हैं वो सबसे ज़्यादा कोहेरेंट वे हो, सबसे ज़्यादा फ्लोइंग वे हो of communicating your thoughts. तो उसके लिए you should be ready to do what the author calls transposition, यानी कि एक पोजीशन से दूसरी जगह लेके जाना, देखना कि क्या अब फ्लो बेहतर हो रहा है, क्या अब आइडिया ज़्यादा बेहतर कम्युनिकेट हो रहे हैं, और इस तरह मल्टीपल चीज़ों को ट्राई करना, डिफरेंट पैराग्राफ्स की पोजीशंस को ट्राई करना. You might also need to even change the positions of the sections. So for a novice writer, someone who is new at writing, तो वो इन चीज़ों को consider नहीं करते, और उसकी वजह से अक्सर they then get requests for revision from the editors. इसलिए you should work on learning how to revise and rewrite, and a lot of it is just the use of this transpositioning. एक जगह से दूसरी जगह लेके जाना, ये जिस तरह मैंने पिछली स्लाइड पे बताया, वेरियस लेवल्स पे हो सकता है, सेंटेंसेस की लेवल पे हो सकता है, पैराग्राफ्स की लेवल पे हो सकता है, सब सेक्शंस के लेवल पे हो सकता है, और सेक्शंस के लेवल पे हो सकता है. So above all, you should not be afraid of this process. This is an integral part of writing. Everyone does it. जितना आप एडवांस करेंगे as a writer, आपके लिए ऑटोमेटिक हो जाएगा. You might be able to complete the work in just 1, 2, or 3 reiterations. But usually we do need this process of revision. Or even expert writers जो होते हैं वो भी they have to revise their work. इसमें हमने एक presentation site की थी पहले, top 10 tips for writing a paper by Jim Kouros, the author of the book Computer Networking, a top-down approach. उसमें भी वो यही advice देते हैं कि you should give yourself time to reflect, write, review and refine your work. यानी कि 2 दिन में पेपर लिखेंगे तो वो आमतौर पे इतना polished नहीं होगा. You sometimes need to write a paper and then put it away for some time, maybe come to it after 2 or 3 days and have a look at it again with a fresh mind, and then see which sentences are difficult to read and work on improving them. So you also should try to give others a chance to provide feedback, because if your friend or your relative or anyone that you can ask for advice, if they find something difficult to read, chances are that others might also find that difficult. So you can use this to your benefit by asking people to read your paper and to give benefit. This may be an expert in your field, and this may also be someone who is just generally educated, maybe from some other field. So you should be able to talk to everyone. So even if you're talking to a non-expert, there should be something in your paper which talks to that person. So you can find this out by giving your paper to different people and getting their feedback. If you start just 3 days before the deadline while results are still being generated, then you should not have a lot of hope of writing a very coherent paper, because obviously there is no time left for making the necessary changes that are required, because writing a good polished paper requires time. Doing good research requires reiteration. Even in your research, you do something, but then after you analyze your results, you discover that there is some unanswered question for which you have to do more experiments. This is the way science is done, and also the way writing is done. You need to do it iteratively. So let me now talk of some frequently observed mistakes. The first mistake that we can talk about, just to first highlight the issue of incoherence. So now the technology is such that using machine learning and even like somewhat primitive AI technology, you can write papers. So for example, a few years ago, maybe more than 10 years ago now, there was a bit of a scandal. Some students at MIT, they wrote some software that could write a paper, and they actually created a fake paper out of this, and they submitted it to a conference. The paper was called Router, a methodology for the typical unification of access points and redundancy. This was a fake paper. This was just, it created a plausible paper. Grammar के कुछ थोड़ा सा ख्याल रखता था वो, because it was using some computer science stuff and some context free grammar, but इसमें बहुत ज़्यादा coherence नहीं थी. तो जब उन्होंने इसको describe भी किया तो उन्होंने कहा कि we have this program that generates random computer science research papers including graphs, figures and citations. देखने में ये genuine paper लगता है. It uses a handwritten context-free grammar to form all elements of the papers. And they say that the aim is to maximize amusement rather than coherence. तो अगर इतना ही आसान होता coherent paper लिखना computer software से, तो फिर जाहिर है इसी के ज़रिए हम नई नई innovations कर रहे होते हैं. ये grammatically correct paper लिखना इतना मुश्किल नहीं है. ज़्यादा important चीज़ है कि आप coherence लाएं at the level of ideas. तो ये जो पेपर है और जो ये सॉफ्टवेयर है इंडिकेट कर रहा है कि ये जो even a robot can make plausible papers. बहुत सारे लोग तो even इस तरह के पेपर्स भी नहीं लिख सकते. उनके पेपर में बहुत सारी essential चीज़ें मिसिंग होती हैं. ये जो सॉफ्टवेयर है ये ऐसा पेपर बनाता है जो कि plausible है, but once you do a careful reading of it, you will find that it is not making a lot of sense. वो डिसकनेक्टेड चीज़ों को जोड़ रहा होगा. और इवन आप एक पैराग्राफ पढ़ेंगे, 2 पैराग्राफ पढ़ेंगे, तो यू विल फाइंड आउट दैट दिस थिंग इज नॉट मेकिंग अ लॉट ऑफ सेंस. दिस लुक्स लाइक समथिंग क्रिएटेड बाय अ रोबोट. इसी तरह आपको पता है कि जो चैट बॉट्स भी होते हैं उसके अंदर भी प्रॉब्लम कोहेरेंस का आता है. दे मेक यूज ऑफ सम टेक्निक्स टू मास्क their lack of intelligence. बट एट द सेम टाइम वो बहुत ज़्यादा कोहेरेंटली बात नहीं कर सकते. तो ये एक ह्यूमन इंटेलिजेंस का साइन है कि आप के आर्ग्यूमेंट्स के अंदर कोहेरेंस हो. तो उसके लिए यू कैन मेक यूज़ ऑफ द रिलेटेड वर्क्स. आप रेटरिक स्टडी कर सकते हैं कि किस तरह आप अपने पॉइंट्स को परसुएसिवली कर सकते हैं, कोहेरेंटली कर सकते हैं. एक और इसमें रिलेटेड चीज, एक मिस्टेक लोग करते हैं कि वो लोग कुछ चीजें इंट्रोड्यूस करते हैं that are not needed. तो ये एक प्रिंसिपल है जिसको कहा जाता है चेखोव्स गन, जो कि एक रशियन राइटर था. उसने ये एक प्रिंसिपल स्टेट किया. उसने कहा कि अगर आप कोई एक स्टोरी लिखते हो तो उसमें हर चीज जो हो, इट शुड बी देयर फॉर अ रीजन. तो अगर आप एक मूवी बना रहे हैं, उसमें एक टेबल के ऊपर एक पिस्टल पड़ी हुई है, तो इट मस्ट गो ऑफ, वरना देयर इज नो रीजन फॉर शोइंग इट. यानी कि आप अपने चीज़ों को इतना सिंप्लीफाई कर दें, रिमूव एवरीथिंग दैट इज एक्सट्रेनियस, वरना लोग उससे कंफ्यूज होंगे. सिर्फ जिस चीज़ को आपने इस्तेमाल करना है उसी को दिखाएं. So in terms of writing, this would mean that if you are writing about something, then the expectation of the reader is that you will use this information somewhere in the paper. But if you just give some information without actually using it, that is wastage of words as well as the cognitive uh, capabilities of the reader. So you're better off not using that information or not writing that. If you introduce an acronym, कोई आप एक कॉन्ट्रैक्शन डिफाइन करते हैं, तो उसको फिर आपको यूज करना चाहिए. अगर नहीं आप यूज करते तो उसको फिर बताने की जरूरत नहीं है. यू आर बेटर ऑफ नॉट यूजिंग द एक्रोनिम. इसी तरह अगर आप कोई नोटेशन, मैथमेटिकल नोटेशन बताते हैं, so it should only be used where you are going to then use this notation multiple times. Varna, you have to see that there is a burden of understanding the notation. If you are only going to use it once or twice, it's better off not to then define the notation, because we are interested in removing the extraneous detail. जो essential detail नहीं है उसको remove कर दें. इसी के बारे में एक एक प्रिंसिपल है जो मशीन लर्निंग में, स्टैटिस्टिक्स में भी इस्तेमाल होता है. उसको ऑकम्स रेजर कहते हैं. और ऑकम्स रेजर का आइडिया ये है कि यू शुड शेव ऑफ द एक्सट्रेनियस डिटेल्स. उसकी जो इंग्लिश ट्रांसलेशन है उसका मतलब है एंटिटीज शुड नॉट बी मल्टीप्लाइड बियॉन्ड नेसेसिटी. अगर आपने मॉडल बनाना है तो जितना नेसेसरी उसकी कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी है उतना ही रखें, उससे ज़्यादा ना बढ़ाएं. इसी तरह एक पेपर आपने अगर लिखना है तो उसकी एक इनहेरेंट कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी है. डू नॉट मेक इट मोर कॉम्प्लेक्स देन व्हाट इज नेसेसरी. अगर आपने कोई कॉन्सेप्ट कम्युनिकेट करना है तो उसके अंदर जो एसेंशियल नोटेशन है वो इस्तेमाल करें. डू नॉट हैव मोर नोटेशन देन व्हाट इज नेसेसरी. दिस इज वन manifestation or implication of the idea of Occam's razor for technical writing. एक और चीज जो है, एक जो लोग गलती करते हैं स्पेशली नॉविस रिसर्चर्स, वो समझते हैं कि हम पहले एक हमारे जहन में आइडिया आएगा, फिर हम रिसर्च करेंगे और आखिर में हम उसको लिखेंगे. बट इट टर्न्स आउट कि इट इज अ बेटर आइडिया दैट यू शुड write your thesis, your idea, and then do research and then iteratively improve the paper. This is because you actually develop the idea in the first place by writing it. Otherwise, you would have, especially if your idea is complex, which is usually the case for science, because we're dealing with complex things, then it is very difficult for you to keep everything in your mind. And even if you try to keep everything in your mind, parts of it might be not coherent and you would not pick it up because you do not have enough capacity to process it all at the same time. But if you write it down, उसके अंदर जो gaps होंगे, it will become apparent. और फिर आपको, आप स्पेशली उसको कम्युनिकेट कर रहे हैं, किसी और को दे रहे हैं, तो they will tell you that these parts of your narratives are not connected. You should fix this gap. So in this manner, you can do better research. वरना आप research कर लेंगे, पेपर लिख लेंगे, बाद में आपको पता चलेगा कि research में तो ये भी करना चाहिए था, and then it is too late. तो यूजुअली साइंस भी इसी तरह होती है. अगर उसके वेरियस मॉडल्स हैं, पर उसके अंदर भी आप अपने मॉडल को इटरेटिवली इम्प्रूव करते रहते हैं, एक्सपेरिमेंट करते हैं, मॉडल को फिर से जाके फिक्स करते हैं, उसको फिर चेक करने के लिए नए एक्सपेरिमेंट्स करते हैं. सिमिलरली दिस फिगर इज ये जो माइक्रोसॉफ्ट के रिसर्चर हैं साइमन जोन्स आई बिलीव, उनकी जो प्रेजेंटेशन में वो यही आइडिया प्रपोज करते हैं कि आप इटरेटिवली अपनी रिसर्च से राइटिंग को भी इम्प्रूव करें, एंड यू शुड नॉट राइट एट द एंड ऑफ योर रिसर्च. इन फैक्ट यू शुड स्टार्ट अर्ली एंड शेप योर रिसर्च अकॉर्डिंग टू व्हाट यू आर राइटिंग. तो ये एक आपस में फीडबैक इनके अंदर चलना चाहिए. अब मैं आपको बताता हूँ कुछ थिंग्स टू डू. पहली चीज तो ये कि यू शुड इंश्योर कोहेरेंसी एट वेरियस लेवल्स. जिस तरह मैंने आपको बताया कि जो फ्रैक्टल्स का कॉन्सेप्ट है, हर लेवल पर वही चीज, इसी तरह कोहेरेंस ऊपर से भी नजर आ रही हो और छोटे छोटे लेवल्स पर भी नजर आ रही हो. इसकी एक एग्जांपल है, ये अभी हमने एक रीसेंट पेपर लिखा है, तो उसके अंदर मैं आपको दिखाता हूँ. आई विल शो हाउ the various parts of the paper gel together. So the title of the paper is A Student Primer on How to Thrive in Engineering Education During and Beyond COVID-19. In this paper, we have multiple sections, and all of those sections are connected to the title. So the first section is an introduction, and then you have various steps that students can use to thrive in engineering education during and beyond COVID-19. You have step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4 till 7. And then you have a section which is called putting these ideas in practice. जब आप पेपर लिख लें, उसका PDF लें, उसका structure observe करें. You should always do this and see just at the level of the outline that are all of the sections following from the title. And then you should go one step ahead. Look at all the subsections and see if they all follow from the section title. So in this case, you will find that all of the subsections are actually following from the section heading. As an example, if you take step 5, take ownership of learning. This is something that is related to the title. Let's now go one step further in the hierarchy and see the subsections. We have active learning. We have the concept of leveraging what we can leverage, and also collaboration and teamwork. All of these three subsections are related to the theme of the section. That's the idea. Even within the subsection, if you have multiple paragraphs, you should see that all of those paragraphs are related to the title of the subsection. तो इस तरह आपको check करना चाहिए coherency at various levels, and you will be surprised to find that many a times your paper can be improved by this simple exercise. It's very simple, but still many people miss it. So every time you write a paper, check for coherence at all levels. Everything that is at a lower level should be connected to the idea at a higher level. This is also known as the pyramid principle. और जब हमने abstraction की बात की थी, तो हमने यही कहा था कि जो नीचे hierarchy में चीजें होती हैं, they are basically evidences or supporting material for the item that comes at the higher level of the hierarchy. you should work on removing all inconsistency, contradiction, and cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance का मतलब होता है कि जब दो चीजें आप observe करते हैं जो incompatible हैं, तो आपका जहन confused हो जाता है. तो उसमें the person or the reader would not be clear what statement to believe, the first one or the second one, because they are conflicting with each other. So you should ensure that there is no contradiction in the paper. This contradiction can be direct contradiction, and this contradiction can also be logical contradiction in the sense that you make claim 1 and you make claim 2. Claim 1 has some logical consequences and claim 2 has some logical consequences. If you compare the logical consequences of claim 1 and claim 2, you'll find that they conflict. उसकी basis पर हम ये कह सकते हैं claim 1 and claim 2 conflicts. तो इस तरह as you get more and more sophisticated, you should be able to see these contradictions, and you should remove that so that your paper is not only flowing in terms of grammar, but it is also conceptually coherent. We talked of the pyramid principle, and the same idea applies here. We should make use of this idea. We should, instead of using the traditional narrative approach in which you are long-winded, you talk of many things, and then you come to the end point. Instead, in the pyramid approach, the main idea is at the peak, and then you have more and more elaboration as you go further. और इसकी एक जो illustration इस तरह है कि you have an introduction section, and then you have sections that describe your key ideas, and then you have some sections that describe your key ideas in more detail and provides all the necessary proofs and experimentation and analysis and so on. So in this way, everyone can get something out of your paper. People can understand and take away something even by just reading the introduction or just the conclusion. So this is highly recommended if you want people to be able to understand your papers. So we've already mentioned that you should state and illustrate the key ideas before delving into the details. We should be having just 1 point per a paragraph. This helps the reader understand what is your main point. And a reader would be confused if you're talking about many things in the same paragraph. This also communicates that you are yourself confused about what you want to communicate. So in a sentence, you should have one main point, and that point should also be clearly specified in a point sentence. This is sometimes called a topic sentence. And then you can have some supporting sentences that provide some evidence for the validity of your point sentence. When we talked last time of improving flow, then it was essentially something that also helps improve cohesion. And when we have a more cohesive document, then we also have a more coherent document. जैसे हमने डिस्कस किया कि कोहेजन इम्प्रूव करने का मतलब होता है कि उसकी ग्रामेटिकल सीक्वेंसिंग को इम्प्रूव करना. So last time we talked about how once paragraph that we read was out of flow, the red line, the red sentence is out of flow, but we rewrote it so that we made use of the principle of connecting the old to new, and then the new paragraph is much more cohesive, it has better flow, and therefore it is easy to read. So like the person shown on the right hand side, you can improve the cohesion and the flow of the paper by rearranging the sentences, and if needed, rewriting some sentences. Another idea that can be used to improve the coherence is to make use of a concept map, in which when you write a section, you can see the various paragraphs that you have, and then choose the topic sentence for each paragraph, and then see how all of these paragraphs are related by seeing the connection between the topic sentences. For example, we are seeing an example illustration of a concept map. This is related to climate change. Climate change is caused by human activities such as population increases, burning fossil fuels. Climate change is caused by natural processes. Climate change is evidence of rising sea. We present some evidences of climate change, and those are rising sea levels, melting glaciers, warming oceans, and so on. So in a similar manner, you summarize all of your paper or your section in this manner, and then you try to see if everything is gelling together or not. If you find that there are some parts which should be written but are not written, you can go on and write that. This helps you perform an X-ray and see how the various parts of the paper work together. So this is a practical tool. You may be able to find softwares online for drawing a concept map or a mind map. You should, like I mentioned, write the main ideas of the various paragraphs and then connect them together as we have done on the left-hand side. And from there, you can easily see if there are any gaps. And if there are any gaps, you should work on fixing that. If you do that, you will have a more coherent document. So with this, alhamdulillah, we have come to the end of this presentation. Inshallah, we'll come in the next lecture and talk about the fourth topic, which will be empathy. Till then, inshallah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.